to the regular board meeting for the Pontiac School District. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in to hear some wonderful news about the Pontiac School District. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Bowman.
Present.
Trustee Kraft.
Here.
Trustee Davis Smith.
Present.
President Garrett.
Present.
VP Gross.
Present.
I am here. Sir, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I didn't do it. All right. Need a motion on the floor to approve the agenda, please. So moved by Trustee Davis Smith, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns to the agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Trustee Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
VP Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. And Trustee Bowman.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you. We're going to move down to awards and recognition, one of our favorite highlights of telling our story in the Pontiac School District. And Superintendent, the meeting is now yours.
Thank you. We are always honored to be able to come before the community and the board to recognize and celebrate students as well as staff that are going above and beyond and showcasing our district in a positive light. Today, we want to recognize students first for the OSHA Grandparents Raising Grandchildren Shout Out PSD students. There is an annual community group art exhibit, and 2 students from Rogers and 1 student, our ITA middle school student, also were recognized. Today, we want to celebrate the information that we received in regards to the students will have their ceramic mask featured with the OSHA Grandparents Raising Grandchildren portion of the exhibition. They want to congratulate each student. Some of the ceramic masks will be featured in the exhibition and will be promotional materials showcased throughout the community. Today, we are going to provide a certificate from the district to recognize these students and their accomplishments. This certificate of distinction is proudly presented to Vaden Hayton, I hope I said it correctly, in recognition of their recent selection as an honoree in the 15th Annual Community Group Art Exhibition at the Detroit Institution of Arts. Their mask artwork was chosen as part of the OSHA Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program. We celebrate their creativity and congratulate them on this esteemed honor. Given this 4th day of December 2023 in Pontiac, Michigan, signed by myself, Kelly Williams, and the Board of Education President, Gil Garrett. Is Vaden here? Hi.
Is it anything that Vaden don't do?
Would you like to say anything? You don't want to say anything? We want to recognize his parents and support that is here today. Thank you so much for the commitment and pouring into his creativity. Next, we would like to recognize Jeremy Shaw. Jeremy Shaw. Okay, I'm sorry. Jeremy Shaw. Hi.
He had a hard day at school today. He's tired. He worked hard at school.
He like, it's hard being an artist. It's hard being an artist.
Okay.
Put it in there.
Hey, we got a leader right here. And next, we would recognize Liliana Shaw. All right, I got that one right. Liliana, come on up.
All right. Look at these babies. Beautiful.
get a bag too.
Liliana, okay, I sure will. With Liliana,
That's what she like to say.
we have some leaders. I'm telling you, she was like, please call me Liliana. I would also like to recognize their families. If you could please just stand and we celebrate you as well. Thank you for pouring into their creativity.
Any comments from the board?
Of course.
Mr. Kraft.
Of course. I love the little ones. And I like to congratulate you, young man, in the back for all that you do. You make me proud when I walk out there in the streets of Pontiac to know that I know a person like you that's doing well out here in school and stuff. Keep it up. And for other two little ones, the two cute ones, especially little one right there, she had a lot to say, and I believe she could have took the mic herself.
Yes.
And could have gave her own her speech. And I like to say to you, I love those shoes, those SpongeBob shoes. I got to get me some. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
She said, thank you.
David Smith.
I just wanted to say congratulations to Vaden and Liliana and Jeremy for your great work. We really are proud of you guys. Keep up the good work. Vaden, you know I love you.
All right, Trustee Bowman.
Congratulations, and just keep up the good work. It's always great to have representation, great representation for the city of Pontiac, and even starting as young as these. Thank you all so much, parents and families, for continuing to support your little ones, and thank you, young ones, for representing Pontiac at your best. So keep up the good work, and we're gonna keep watching you shine. So thank you.
All right, awesome.
Good, thank you.
Secretary Hannah.
Thank you. Just want to say, parents, thank you for pouring into your students and allowing them to be creative, and good job.
All right, thank you. Vice President Gross.
Thank you, sir. I just want to commend all of the parents and grandparents of these students because first, you believe in our district and you allowed your children to be creative and to have fun. And this shows everyone around this district that if your parents are involved, the grandparents are involved, and the kids are having a good time, we will, not can, not possibly, not maybe, if's a big word, but we will succeed, and you're showing it. Thank you for your commitment and your commitment you have for your children. And I guarantee you, in about 15 years from now, 15, 20 years, we'll be seeing buildings made with their names on them. Sculptures in museums with their names on them because of what you've done in the beginning and led them on their path to the end. And I appreciate you. No, we appreciate you. And my last question, and I keep saying we need to get the neon signs. What is the school district that you guys are from? Say it again. Last time. Whoop, there it is.
Well, thank you. Congratulations. Mr. Hayden, is it anything, I asked you this Saturday, is there anything that you do not do?
No, you are, yes.
Listen, this young man, he's just simply amazing. And from the first time I laid eyes on him to how he takes care of Sadie when we were over at ITA, to the point of just watching him, how he interacts, and he's an ambassador for Pontiac, and how he makes everybody feel welcome when they come into the room, when they were visiting over in the school. If you haven't had a chance to just check out, the middle school robotics team and just how they move and operate. We had a wonderful, wonderful showcase on Saturday. And I knew he played basketball, and I knew there was some other things that he was doing in the community. But then I turn around, he's on a robotics team. And then I look at his name now, I'm signing the certificate, and I'm like, is there anything this kid does not do? And I'm like, okay, this is what we're talking about. So, to you and your colleagues and everyone, the grandparents, the first time I heard about this organization over at OSHA, it was just for grandparents to have a network of people who are that understood who they were as grandparents raising children over again. And it's hard. And so thank you for allowing that space, right? And then thank you for sharing your students in that space, because it is not easy. You have a great support network. When I seen the video, and I would see if we can try to get a snippet to kind of allow the district to see how important our grandparents are to just not only the district, but just to this community. So just publicly, I just say thank you. And thank you so much for sharing your babies with us. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. And I also would like to recognize the principals that have attended the meeting to support the students. Without you, none of this can happen. You expose them to several programs, and then you make sure that they are involved in increasing their opportunities to be successful. So thank you all that are here. Ms. Jackson from Rogers, Mr. Carafa from ITA for the middle school, and then we also have our middle school principals here as well. So I want to just commend you, and you're coming up, Dr. Sharman. So just thank you all for continuously supporting our students. All right, next. We have a staff member that we want to recognize today. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the program and the school and program that she represents. It's the International Language Academy, which promotes leadership skills by preparing students to be global learners through the dual language immersion and rich cultural experiences. At ILA, students are immersed in daily cultural experiences which foster a celebration of diversity and community involvement. As a community, they uphold expectations for academics, attendance, and character development. Just recently, attorney Jerome Pappas created the Exceptional Educator Program and partners with WXYZ to gather nominations for educators in the area that go above and beyond for their students. Attorney Pappas launched the program in January 2022 to give back to the community it serves and has recognized and donated to a teacher each month. We were honored to have one of our very own Pontiac School District teachers from our ILA program. And today we want to recognize and celebrate Caitlin Mateer. Did I say it right? All right. In recognition of her hard work and dedication to her first grade students at ILA. She recently was awarded $1,000 by Attorney Pappas, trial attorneys, for being an exceptional educator. The funds are for the use for ILA in her honor. We congratulate Caitlin and are grateful for her continued commitment to our students. Given this fourth day of December 2023 in Pontiac, Michigan, signed by myself, Kelly Williams, and the Board of Education President Gil Garrett. Can you please come and receive? Thank you.
All right.
She was actually on the news and everything. We celebrate you. Thank you so much. Would you like to say anything?
Oh, sure. ILA is just near and dear to my heart. I am one of the starting teachers when the program started 8 years ago, and it's just so close to my heart. It's an amazing community, and we thank you for all of your support and continuing the growth of the program. And it's an honor to represent this community. So thank you. Thank you very much.
I also would like to thank Dr. Sharman, the school principal, as well as our bilingual director, Dr. Alicia. Thank you for continuing to bring these programs to our schools and for our students. And thank you. Continue the great work you're doing, and we appreciate you greatly. I'll turn it back over to the board.
Thank you. I'll open up for comments. Any comments? Trustee Hannah?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment to our students and just pouring into them so much. So thank you so much.
Trustee Kraft?
I'd like to say thank you also. We need people like you in our district that's going to make us rise as the Phoenix.
Thank you, Trustee Bowman.
Thank you for being a part of our Pontiac family. Just glad to have you around and to continue making us a stronger Phoenix nation. So thank you very much for all that you do.
All right. Thank you. Vice President Gross.
Thank you. Listen, I say this all the time. It can be a tough, difficult job to be a teacher in our eyes. But when you're committed and love the children like you do, it's an easy job. And you make it easy looking for us because of the awards you're receiving. But I'm going to tell you something. I can see the passion and compassion that you have for these children, that to all of our teachers, administrators, and those of us who are dealing with children who are biologically not ours, but naturally they are ours. And it says a lot about obtaining rewards. And I know that your commitment is not just to get $1,000, because listen, with these babies, it's going to take more than 1,000. But this tells us about your commitment. And you said something important. I love my students. And you're showing us more than telling us. Thank you. Bless you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. You said something that was very important,
Yes.
and I hope people understand it, is just like the commitment with our grandparents. You said 8 years when this program started. So you got latched on and you stayed. And 8 years ago was a very hard time in this district, and
That's right.
things were very unsure. And you had an opportunity to go anywhere else you wanted to be, but you stayed with your students. And I appreciate that. And thank you for allowing us to share in this moment with you, because it's well deserved. And as long as you are in Phoenix Nation and continuing to do what you need to do for our students, we're going to be here for you, because this is what we believe our teachers should be, right? That you are the example. Because when you could have left, you stayed. And so don't let nobody ever talk you out of what you're doing for your kids, because you're doing it for the right reason. No matter where you come from, no matter how we're glad you're here.
That's
and
right.
understand that, and you're supported. Okay. All right. Thank you. Right now, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, as we often do, because we got to get our babies who have been in school all day long working on art, get them home. So we're going to stand into a 5-minute recess at this moment. We'll be right back. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to, Frank, we off? All right, welcome back. Those at home, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Facebook page so you clearly understand everything that's going on. We love to celebrate our children and our staff members here in the Pontiac School District. It's kind of set the tone for the meeting, but just telling our own story, right? We kind of established a while back that if we're not going to tell it, why should we expect somebody else to? So we want to tell our own story here of support and great things that's going on in the district. We're going to move down to recognition of elected officials. I see Charter Commissioner Tamika Rams in the audience. How you doing, ma'am?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
I'm excited to be here. One, I just wanted to say hi. As we are updating the charter, I would appreciate if y'all could come down and talk to us. I know that we have a trustee also on the board who can give us some information. But one of the things that I've been looking at is what makes cities better cities for people to move in. The school districts are always number one, but the mayor is always getting the heat for what that looks like. So what relationship should or will the school board have with the city is something that I'm investigating. I'm looking at New York as a model, but also not at the same time because it was under Bloomberg. But those are some things that are being talked about. So I would appreciate if you could come down and provide your thoughts and inputs. I would also just like to say welcome as a new parent to the district. I will be coming down here future as a parent and an activist and not as an elected official, and y'all will get the same heat that the city council gets. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
We look forward to it.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, with that being said, thank you so much. Consent agenda. Need a motion on the floor.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Trustee Davis, supported by Trustee Gross. Question, comment, or concern? Hearing none. Roll call.
Trustee Davis Smith,
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
VP Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Bowman.
Yes.
And Trustee Kraft.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Moving on to information from the Superintendent of Administration. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. At this time, I just want to raise the awareness around the growing epidemic that we are facing in our community as well as our schools with the vaping. We have been very proactive as a district in putting in preventive measures as well as educating our students around the health hazard and safety precautionary measures that they should take, as well as informing our parents of the necessity to make and have these conversations with students. On that note, earlier this year, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, MDHHS, released their tobacco-free report card for Michigan's K-12 public school districts. This report card provided ratings from category 1 as the lowest to category 4 as the highest for each public school district. Today, I want to congratulate the Pontiac School District, which received a category 4 rating, the highest. Your rating indicates that MDHHS recognized your district's tobacco policies among the most comprehensive in the state. With the rise in popularity of e-cigarettes, vapes, and other next generation tobacco products, it is imperative that we work to prevent youth use of tobacco. Your efforts and partnership are vital and important to the success of our state, communities, and youth. Enclosed is a certificate of recognition to proudly display, highlighting your contributions to youth tobacco use prevention. And I just want to read Alliance of Coalition for Health Communities Certificate of Recognition. The certificate is proudly presented to the Pontiac School District for receiving the highest rating on the 2023 MDHHS Tobacco-Free Report Card, signed by the President and the Oakland County Designated Youth Tobacco Use Representative.
That's great. Thank you so much. Before we take comments from the board, I'm gonna take a point of privilege because we just had another councilwoman come in, James, from over at the city. How you doing? Good evening, ma'am. Would you like to say something as well? We still gave the privilege to.
No, just glad to be here.
Okay, all right, awesome, thank you. Any comments for the Alliance of Coalition of Healthy Communities?
Keep up the good work, Sue. We're doing good.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all right, thank you, Superintendent, thank you so much. We're gonna move down to regular working agenda, moving down to tributes and resolutions. I'm gonna turn the meeting over to the Vice President at this time as he has the resolution 1 honoring Miss Dorothy Hill.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, all. The School District of the City of Pontiac Board of Education resolution honoring the life of Dorothy Hill. Whereas the School District of the City of Pontiac has been privileged to educate and employ thousands of individuals within the district schools over the decades who have left an incredible impression on students, colleagues, and the community alike. Whereas she worked for Pontiac School District for more than 30 years at multiple locations, including Pontiac Central High School and Franklin Elementary School. Whereas she also attended Pontiac School District as a student and graduated from Pontiac High School. Whereas she held a Master of Business Administration degree from University of Phoenix. Whereas she worked for many years and retired from Chrysler. Whereas she passed away on November 26, 2023. Resolved, the Board of Education for the School District of the City of Pontiac hereby celebrates the life and career of Miss Dorothy Hill and mourns her passing, which is a profound loss for our Pontiac School District community, and further resolved that we extend our deepest sympathies to her family, friends, colleagues, and neighbors, and further resolved, the Board of Education expresses our deepest gratitude for her years of service to our community and to the thousands of people whose lives she enriched. Sincerely, the entire board adopted this day, December 4th, the year 2023.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from the board at this time?
If I may.
Yes, sir.
The death of Miss Hill was very close to me because I worked for her during my tenure at Pontiac Central High School when she was a secretary, and I took on one of the jobs in the school, and I worked for her in the 9th grade office, and we became very close, and we stayed as friends until this day. As a matter of fact, she passed on the 26th, but we communicated with each other, and we always do via text messages. And she sent me a text message on Thanksgiving Day. And she always sends a special message to me, or she'll say how we'll say how we love each other. So Thursday morning, I received a text message from her saying, "Kevin, happy Thanksgiving, love you." And I said, "Happy Thanksgiving, Miss Jones, I always love you." And, not knowing what will happen later. But I will say this, both Ms. Jones and the next resolution I'll be reading, I do give thanks that they passed within my life. So now I always will have everlasting memories of the 40 some odd years that we've been together. So I thank God for that. And again, she will be missed, but she was a wonderful, great person in and outside of this district. And I appreciate both Superintendent, President Garrett, and Ms. Wright for getting these resolutions together and recognizing those who have been here, because she was extremely special to me and my family, but I know to a lot of others. Bless you.
Thank you, sir. As we move down to approval of resolution honoring Mr. Jeffrey Smith, the meeting is yours, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, sir. The School District of the City of Pontiac Board of Education resolution honoring the life of Jeffrey Smith. Whereas the School District of the City of Pontiac has been privileged to educate and employ thousands of individuals within the district schools over the decades who have left an incredible impression on students, colleagues, and the community alike. Whereas Jeffrey Smith served the Pontiac School District as a custodial staff member for over 30 years. Whereas he also attended Pontiac School District and graduated from Pontiac Central High School. Whereas during his time as a student, where he played varsity basketball, whereas he dedicated his career to serving students and staff of the district where he was educated, whereas he passed away on November 30th, the year 2023. Resolved, the Board of Education for the School District of City Pontiac hereby celebrates the life career of Jeffrey Smith and mourns his passing, which is a profound loss for our Pontiac School District community, and further resolve that we extend our deepest sympathies to his family, friends, colleagues, and neighbors. And further resolve, the Board of Education expresses our deepest gratitude for his years of service to our community and to the thousands of people whose lives he enriched. Sincerely, the entire board adopted this day, December 4th, the year 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Any other comments from the board? No?
Lastly, another good friend, a very good person, and a memory will live on in our memories. And he did a lot. And I had the opportunity to be in school with Jeffrey, and he was a mentor to me. And he, extremely great basketball player, but doggone it, he was one of the best bowlers in the city of Pontiac.
You said it.
And it was a pleasure to go to the Firebird Lanes on Friday night and just to watch them bowl. It was a pleasure just to see their skills. And during his time as a custodian, when I was a mentor through the Michigan Works Job Link, we employed people in the district, and he was one of our supervisors for our children. And he worked with us for 10 years with these kids. And they were so impressed with how he worked with them and supervised them that a lot requested to come back to Pontiac Central High School to work under Mr. Smith. So his commitment wasn't just to the job in the district, but also to ensure that our kids, that whether they went to school or not, they could always have something to fall back on and make a career of it. And he showed them, and he did very well. And I appreciate him as well as his family. God bless. Thank you, sir.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Going to move down to action items. Approval of the tribute resolutions. Approval of resolution honoring Miss Dorothy Hill. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Gross, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns to the resolution? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
President Garrett,
Yes.
VP Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Bowman,
Yes.
Trustee Kraft,
Yes.
and Trustee Davis Smith.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. Move down to action item number 2, approval of resolution honoring Mr. Jeffrey Smith. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Davis Smith, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
VP Gross.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Bowman,
Yes.
Trustee Kraft,
Yes.
Trustee Davis Smith,
Yes.
and President Garrett.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. We're going to move down to General Counsel and Human Resources. There are no reports, discussion, or action items this evening. We're going to move under Curriculum and Instruction. Reports ELD plan for students. The presenter will be Dr. Kimberly Leverett and the OS team. Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. We are excited about bringing this information before the community as well as to the trustees. With a growing population that we are embracing and celebrating with supports from our bilingual department as well as our partnership with Oakland Schools. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Dr. Leverett and she will introduce our guest for the presentation.
Thank you, Superintendent, President Garrett, trustees. We are really excited to discuss this plan with you this evening. Dr. Alicia and I, along with our building administrators, Principal Coleman Jones, Mr. Montgomery, their teaching staff, as well as their counselors, we have had quite a few meetings to discuss the importance of this and why it's important to put this plan into place. And so just thank you, Dr. Alicia, and your staff, as well as our partners from Oakland Schools under the leadership of Christy Osborne. They've really done a great job in collaborating with us and answering all of our questions. But we feel like we have a really strong plan to support our students and the sense of urgency behind this. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Dr. Alicia, who will introduce Christy Osborne and her staff. Thank you, Dr. Alicia.
Thank you, Dr. Leverett, and good evening, everybody. I want to thank you once again for your continued support. As I mentioned in the retreat, I really feel supported by the board and by the superintendent and by the administrators. And I just want to give a quick introduction of the next slide coming up to let you know that the building administrators got together in a meeting, and in this slide, it represents certain traits that the Pontiac School District administrators have identified as essential characteristics of a portrait of a graduate. All of our high school graduates should embody and exemplify these qualities by graduation to be college ready, career and life ready. Building and implementing a portrait of a graduate is a community effort that involves students, staff, teachers, community leaders, business leaders, and school administration to prepare students to be successful in the adult life. Okay, next slide. I'm very pleased with this. Many of you remember this from last year. This is celebrating our first year of our Seal of Biliteracy, and I'm very proud of this. The Seal of Biliteracy is an award given by a school district in recognition of students who have attained proficiency in 2 or more languages by high school graduation. The goal is to help students recognize the value of their academic success and see the benefits of being bilingual and becoming productive citizens. We need to celebrate that Pontiac is among the top 10 in the state of Michigan, with the highest number of students participating in the Seal of Biliteracy program. And we're anticipating even more this school year.
That's right.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce you now to Ms. Christy Osborne from Oakland Schools, who will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leverett, and thank you, Dr. Elisea. Also, thank you for showing us the faces of your success stories. So in keeping with that theme of telling our Pontiac stories, we have multilingual success stories that we can add to those stories as well. So I'm Christy Osborne, and I'm one of the ELD consultants, English Language Development at Oakland Schools, and I'm joined by my team. I will let them introduce themselves.
I'm Tina Kozlowski, and also an English Language Development Consultant at Oakland Schools.
And I'm Kelsey Witt, the newcomer EL consultant at Oakland Schools.
And before we get too far, I do want to say that this year we already have 36 students who are on track to gaining their Seal of Biliteracy on their diplomas, and that number is growing and is counting. They haven't assessed all the tests yet, but we are on our way this year as well.
All right, all right, all right.
It really is. So this is not the beginning of the story or the conversation that we've had with your dedicated team here. Oakland Schools and the Pontiac ELD team have been collaborating and have had a close partnership over the past several years. And a lot of the things that we'll be talking about tonight have been part of that conversation. And one of the reasons is data. So we're going to take a look at data, and data tells a story too. This data is going to tell a story of multilingual community that has chosen Pontiac, that feels safe here, that comes here because they feel cared for by the Pontiac community. So if you're taking a look at these percentages, this is the 24% of students identified as English learner by the district. And you can see where Pontiac is. Spoiler if you haven't found it yet, it's all the way to the right. So Pontiac is leading the pack when it comes to Oakland County schools. Our public schools, Pontiac has 28%, and Novi is second with 19%. And actually, I said has 28%, but this data is already outdated. So this was about the end of last year, and we're already over 30% in Pontiac, and growing. So we can go to the next slide. Just to share some of these enrollment trends that through the years. So this is the Oakland County slide. And you can see that most districts have had some decline of English learner and also enrollment from 2017 through 2020, through 2020. The orange line is English learners. So you can see as the general population has decreased, the English learner population has increased. So this is for Oakland County. So let's take a look at Pontiac's trends. So the next slide, well, this is still Oakland County, but you can see even with that large increase in number, our percent increase has gone from 7% to 8% in Oakland County. And next slide. And in Pontiac, you can see that there's a big shift here, that while there was some growth there when compared with Oakland County, you can look at the last 2 years from 2020, and we can see a sharp increase. And again, this is outdated data, so we are already above that 28%. So let's look at the next slide for some still outdated but much more recent data. This is still outdated even though this was received in early October. We've still been receiving more English learners as time has gone by. So if you look at Pontiac High School and Pontiac Middle School, we're going to focus in on that secondary piece now. While the elementaries have been also increasing, and you can see some patterns there. If you're looking across, we can see 22-23 school year, and then as of October, the 23-24 school year, you can see that some of those percentages have greatly increased. So drawing your attention to Pontiac Middle School, who went from 27.7% to 47% as of early October, with 58 newcomers at that point. I just got updated numbers, and there are 85 students who have come in that continue to grow that number in Pontiac Middle School. Pontiac High School, as of this time, had 31.6%, but I do know that that percent has risen. I heard like somewhere in the upper 30s this year as well. So again, telling that story of a multilingual community that's choosing Pontiac, and they're coming here, they feel safe and cared for, and as much positive energy as that brings to Pontiac, it also creates some need to pivot, and it creates a little bit of urgency to just take a fresh look at current practices and thinking about how we're supporting those students in our community. So we can go to the next slide.
So we know that many of your new community members are coming from Venezuela, and there's some push and pull factors here. So recently in September, the U.S. government granted additional temporary protected status for those coming from Venezuela. And so they have an 18-month parolee status now, which is new as of September, and it was renewed. Previously, it expired in May. And so there are some like larger political contexts for why Venezuelans are coming to the United States. And actually, they're the largest growing group of Latinos that are coming to the United States. And so we're seeing that same pattern here in Pontiac. And we know that these students are coming from a complex situation back home. So in 2014, when their presidential structure shifted and changed, their whole infrastructure fell apart. And so the school systems stopped functioning anymore. Teachers left because of pay, and even just simple supplies such as clothing and water, electricity, and school supplies were not widely available. So many students were unable to continue attending school. And so early in that process, a lot of times they immigrated to other local countries, and now after COVID, they are now coming to the United States. And so this is a national trend and also a trend we're seeing here. And so we know that our students are coming with a lot of needs from Venezuela. They're often coming to our secondary schools. And so we want to make sure we're meeting their needs for who they are and also meeting their needs as a plan towards graduation. So we've been having a lot of conversations about how can we do this really well for our students.
Okay. You can go to the next slide. And so our team has been, again, working closely and partnering this year, especially with this new population, with your Pontiac ELD department, very dedicated. So we want to just give some accolades to the ELD department for the work they've done prior to this year, but also that pivoting that they're doing to meet this need this year. And we got some feedback. As Dr. Leverett had said, we've been meeting with many different stakeholder groups and getting some different feedback for some district identified priorities. So through talking with administrators, central office, building administrators, and of course the ELD team and counselors, there were 3 big themes that came up. The first is professional learning. So we know that teachers, educators, administrators, we're going to need some support with knowing how instruction looks for these students in the classroom. And the second is ELD program structure. So thinking about the students that have the most need and thinking about how we can get English language development program and content courses that directly meet those needs. And then finally, our English language development intake protocols. Now that there are many families that are coming in, so having a process that helps us to assess the needs of these families and also place students correctly. And I want to say those 3 buckets and themes, those aren't new. Those have been part of the conversation and something that has been worked on extensively over the past several years. But again, kind of this new urgency coming up around these 3 buckets is having us take a fresh look at these 3 areas and thinking how we might need to do some pivoting around this. Along with our influx of students, we also have a couple other things that are adding to this urgency this year. One of them would be that in the partnership agreement that Pontiac's engaged in, English learners were identified for some of our buildings as a student group of focus. And then a third factor is that MDE is doing on-site evaluations of English learner programs for all public schools and public school academies in Oakland County, which Pontiac will be part of. And so the work that we're doing here is also going to help meet those needs as well. So on the next slide, you'll see that the 3 buckets that we identified through the feedback aligns really closely with the legal obligations. So these are 3 of the big legal obligations of EL programs. And so if you want to click, there's going to be some arrows that fly in here. The first is direct English language development. Again, something that the ELD team has been working on very closely, where that direct instruction is delivered from an ESL or bilingual endorsed teacher. And the second is meaningful access to core curriculum, acknowledging that our newcomers also can have access to that grade level content when there are supports in the general education classrooms that enable them to be able to access that content. And then the third is program evaluation, which a lot of our efforts have been unpacking that data, looking at the graduation rate, some other assessment pieces to take a look at our ELD program and think about how it's meeting the needs of our students. And so this is a timeline. I've said several times tonight that this is not a new conversation. Just take you on a quick timeline, and Dr. Leverett and Dr. Elisea, and probably many of you have been involved in this process over the past several years too. So in 2016-17, there was a proposed and board approved secondary ELD program structure and sheltered content courses, again, meeting the needs of that growing population. And then moving on to the next year, in 2017-18, they began implementation. They started at the high school, that 9-12 ELD course structure, and they implemented that. And then there was a plan for implementing a similar structure at 6-8. We know between 2018 and 2023, we've all lived a lot of life. So, plans pivot, things happen. So up to this year, we do have that program has been fully implemented with the ELD piece at Pontiac High School. But now with this large increase of English learners, we're talking about piloting some structure shifts for the 6-12 ELD department. And we're going to add on sheltered content. So to define that term for you, sheltered content acknowledges again that our newcomers and English learners of all levels can have access to core curriculum. And these courses are designed for the specialized needs of newcomers, and they are going to be teachers that are working with the ELD department, and maybe they're ELD teachers and paraprofessionals to deliver that content to newcomers so that they're learning social studies in a sheltered social studies class, science in a sheltered science class, and math in a sheltered math class. And it doesn't mean that that's something that's going to be implemented right now, but those are some things that the district is looking at, thinking about opportunities for where this might begin, where we might do some piloting, and how we might grow that. So looking forward to implementing, piloting, gathering data, that we would be presenting some findings to the board, hopefully in the spring of 2025. And I would invite if Dr. Elisea or Dr. Leverett has anything to add to this timeline.
Nope, you covered it quite well. And as you stated, I was here when we first started the initial program at the high school. And with COVID, this is just a perfect opportunity for us to pivot and do some restructuring around the courses that we offer the students at the high school.
Thank you.
All right. So with all good things, we're thinking about a long-term plan. None of this is something that is, I love the word that was used earlier. It's not something easy, but it's something that people are dedicated to. So we want to commend the collaboration of central office, the ELD team, the administrators at the middle schools and the high schools, and getting all of those different stakeholders' feedback so we can really support and be thought partners as Pontiac moves forward in their plan. So we're calling this year zero. We've been assessing needs, and there's energy. The middle school and high school are looking to implement and pilot some ideas now instead of waiting until the fall. So we're really excited about some things that are going to be happening second semester based on the current master schedule and the current staffing that Pontiac has. And then we're calling next year, year one, where we're really going to go with a full initial implementation based on hopefully some revisions and looking through some staffing, some master scheduling, some cohorts of students. And then we're going to monitor and adjust and be supporting that throughout the way from all those different stakeholders' lens again. And then with continuous improvement, we're looking through years 2 through 5 of really monitoring, adjusting, so we can have that 6-12 coherent system. Some things that have already been starting across those 3 buckets: professional learning. We've had professional learning for many years in Pontiac, but really intentional of some full staff learning around these new groups and those higher data and percentages that you've been seeing. We've been having really structured conversations and creative scheduling conversations with counselors and administrators, and just embracing this new and growing community. And then we're also looking at the current schedules and some coincidences that are actually allowing some pilots to happen. So the creativity of the counseling and administration staff at the middle schools and high schools are really allowing some piloting of some sheltered courses and some ELD restructuring that we can get our feet wet and get dirty with those new ideas already before waiting until next fall. So we're excited about that, and we'll continue to support through the process. All right, that's it. So thank you for your time, and we're happy to answer any questions from the board.
All right, open the floor to the board. Gross.
Thank you. I remember seeing you when we talked at Oakland Schools, and I ran to Dr. Leverett. And she said, "Oh, Mr. Gross, we got a meeting planned next week." And here you are. And it says a lot about, thank you to Oakland Schools and your partnership and what we're doing here. And Dr. Leverett, this is excellent, because, and you and Dr. Alicia and your team, I look at when my time growing up and all the friends of, Hispanic speaking languages but we were all just part of the school district, and we learned together, not realize in the background how difficult it would be for someone who has difficulty speaking the English language. But my friends, they taught me some things and some words I can't say over this mic, but it was fun with us doing that. And I've always been concerned about how to alleviate some concerns with the families that are going through these situations and the difficulty it is, especially you talked about at the retreat, the newer people that are coming in at a higher grade, how difficult it is for them. But you and Oakland Schools and this curriculum team has made it easier. It has to be more fun than where they're coming from, because we see the advancing. I appreciate you. You're welcome. And listen, I thank God for this board, because you have a board of listening ears and understanding, and whatever it takes to ensure that, and he says this all the time, every child counts, no matter where they're from and who they're from. We appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. VP. We're going to move down to discussion items. Any other comments? I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you so much. We're going to move down to discussion item ELL program revisions. Dr. Leverett and Dr. Superintendent.
Yes, I'll defer to you.
Thank you. ELL program revisions, background rationale. The mission of the Office of Bilingual and ESL Education in the School District of the City of Pontiac is to ensure that English language learners receive a rigorous foundation which prepares them to excel in a highly competitive, multicultural global society. As we recognize and respond to the growing number of students, we must ensure program alignment and support to ensure student success. Funding source NA. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education approve the ELL program revisions to support the growing number of ELL students for the 23-24 school year. Pardon the error of the number 30. It should be read 24.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions, comments of the board? Okay. We often talk about equity and inclusion. We've had conversations amongst the board. We have went and visited school districts where the population of Hispanic students outweigh any other demographic in that area, 98% to most high schools that we visited. We began to do an internal deep dive last year to look at, because of we had a 30%, I think, growth, 32 growth rate of Hispanic students, and we needed to get in front of it as a Board of Education, right? So when we started talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we started talking about everybody equal across the board, IDA was the first, the funding of that was the first for our special ed students. And we're going to press that issue till they deliver what needs to be delivered and what they promised. The second part of it is when you have a growing population, what do you do? And it's not just for the school district, it's for the city. What do you do? And so we took on that challenge head on, and this is one of the pillars in which that we stand on, is that we're going to educate everyone that comes through our door, no matter what the government says or what they can or cannot do for us at that particular point in time. We're going to get our resources together, and we're going to do what we need to do for every student. We're going to expose every student to every possibility that they can have to be successful. And we understand that success is determined by the individual. It's not based on products or finances and things of that nature, but they have a successful, wholesome life. That's our goal for every student that come into our classrooms. That's our goal for every leader that we have, to press that upon every instructor and teacher, all the way from this board to the people that they see in the lunchroom, to the transportation, to the people that clean the hallways, to the bathrooms. And we mean that. And we stood on that. And we're still going to stand on that. And so thank y'all so much for what y'all are presenting, for what you're doing. But this is what equity looks like. And this is what across the board. And so any challenges that come our way, this board has faced them head on. And we're going to continue to keep doing the research, because there's other people who do it better, have been doing it longer, right? They have some legislation pieces in place that I think that we need to, spread to our legislators to get some things done. And so with that being said, I appreciate each and every last one of you and this board. So we're going to move down to action item. We need a motion on the floor to approve the approval of the ELL program revisions.
So moved.
So moved by Trustee Bowman, supported by Trustee Davis Smith. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
I'm voting yes. Treasurer Terry?
Yes.
Trustee Bowman?
Yes.
Trustee Kraft?
Yes.
Trustee Davis Smith?
Yes.
President Garrett?
Yes.
And VP Gross?
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
All right, thank you. We're going to move down. It was a discussion item as far as the Pontiac Middle School platform install change order. Superintendent, do you want to give a brief statement?
So this is just to give the board some background and history in regards to a challenge that our CMs are having with the passage of the height of units above for what are they called? The air conditioning units.
Yes.
So we have to have a change order, and we just wanted to inform the board of the reason behind it, to ensure that we are in compliance and meeting the regulations of the height of the units that were put in place a year ago. And we have to make some changes in order to become compliant.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Board of Education. Thank you, Superintendent. Board, you saw the bear. There will be no action on it. It was just an FYI for you at this particular point in time. We're going to move down to communications, petitions, and delegations. Vice President.
Mr. President, we have none.
All right. Thank you. We're going to move down to board comments and announcements. I'm going to start with Trustee Kraft, who had a very busy weekend this weekend. How you doing, sir? Good evening to you.
Good evening. Good evening. Pontiac and everyone's out there listening and looking at us. I'd like to first start off with my condolences to the family of Jeffrey Smith and Miss Dorothy Hill. I had an opportunity to know Jeffrey, and his son is Jamel Gooding, another class of 1998 graduate from Pontiac Central, excellent basketball player who followed his dad's footsteps. And Also, Miss Dorothy Hill, which was my secretary at Pontiac Central when when Kevin was working with her, and she was just a wonderful soul, a wonderful lady here in Pontiac. And like I said, I like to send a condolence to their family. I had an opportunity Thursday to attend the fall banquet for the fall sports that was put on through the athletic director over at the high school. It was a wonderful event, and the kids were they're pretty excited about the awards. The food was great, and I really appreciate what's going on over there and the culture that's changing over at the high school. And I guess I can also mention the basketball game. I went to the basketball game Friday, in which we won. We are 2-0. And we got a bunch of babies out there fighting, man. They're fighting, and I love it. You know, that's me. I love it. It's going to be a learning curve, so don't get all too excited and everything, because they are young, and it's going to be growing pains and everything. Going to look good right now, and we may take a couple losses and stuff, but I'm looking at the big picture down the road. All of these kids are great academically too. I'm not just preaching the sports part, but they're great academically. And I got around this Saturday because I'm all everywhere. Got a chance to go over to ITA, to the middle school, and watch the robotics competition. It was something different for me. I'm not just in that sports box. And I had a ball over there with them kids, and there's so many kids that was over there having fun. And I mean, this is something that should be continued here, and I think it should grow. I was speaking to the principal, and we were talking about it maybe elevating to the high school because of the growth that it was at capacity. So I like to thank everybody and wish everybody a wonderful week, and that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Davis Smith.
Good evening, everyone. So this was a great meeting, nice and short. I would like to congratulate all our students again on their awards.
The shade.
And also, I would like to say to our community again, like, we really need our parents, family members to really show an interest in our students' education, as well as their after-school activities and extracurricular things that they do, sports. We really need you guys to be a presence in your kids' education and life period, to teach them and keep them on a straight path of things. It takes a village to raise a kid. It took probably 2 to raise me. So I'm just asking you guys to, be with your little cousins, your aunties, uncles, just, build them up and give them that confidence that they need to do a great job. But this was a great board meeting, and everybody stay safe. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Bowman.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
I would like to say that this was a wonderful meeting, and also I would like for everyone to be mindful on how you treat people, how you come across. Everybody's going through something, and you never know. So if you can, give a smile, give a hug, a nod, because the holiday season is not easy for some individuals. So as we move forward and working through the rest of this year, just like to continue to stay on a positive note, and Pontiac, as we continue to thrive and show out. I'm grateful, and I hope that more people within the community will take heed and listen to the good things that's happening in the Pontiac School District versus holding on to the things of the past. We are not that district anymore. So let's get it together, people. Phoenix Nation, we on the rise. So with that being said, good night, great meeting, and till next time.
All right. Thank you. Trustee Terry, how you doing? You good? All right. Your comments, sir.
I think my trustees pretty much wrapped up everything. So I just want to say, great meeting again. Good to see everybody. And I hope everybody's doing well. And I guess continue to be safe out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. I'm not gonna tell you what we did while you was gone, but we'll bring it up. You'll see it in the notes.
Don't tell me.
Secretary,
I spilled the
Secretary Hannah.
All right.
I told already.
Good evening. I just want to, aside from what everybody else has already said, I just want to give a shout out to OSHA for their Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program. It is an awesome program. We know times have changed a bit, so we do have more grandparents that are raising their grandchildren. So I'm just kudos to them for the work that they're doing with that program. And again, congratulations to our students and my dear condolences for our, the two families that have passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Madam, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. VP.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good seeing you.
What, thank you as well, always.
You see Trustee Terry's back?
I see.
All right.
Trustee Kraft, we're going to talk after the meeting.
We definitely talked to Trustee Kraft after the
setup. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I appreciate the time that I've been spending on this board. Not that I'm going anywhere. I plan to be back next year, the year after, and the year after that. And the reason I say that is that I love it when we're continuously learning. And by me and Trustee Hannah being part of a committee that we're part of with working with our children who are returning back to the district, it allows us the opportunity to not only see what other districts aren't doing, but where parents who thought taking their kids to another district might be a better thing, and then when they come back, I don't want to say soup is like eating crow. That's not too professional, is it? I shouldn't have said that, should I, Mr. President?
We're in trouble again.
But when they come back to discover that all of the services, and I learned a lot at the board retreat too, about even more than what I knew before, the things that we're doing to ensure that every child in this district, no matter your educational level, where you are academically, that we are working extremely hard to provide them with the best education that they can receive individually, within the families, doesn't matter, that we're doing our due diligence. And today taught me a lot about those who have gone on to various other districts, but made the decision to come back to us because of what we're offering and they're not.
Yeah.
Not that it's surprising, but it's newsworthy. But it shouldn't have to get to the point to where specific things in their lives are happening to notice that what is best for him is here at home. The shock on some of the parents' faces of the things that we were told that we offered them, that we could help their child with to ensure that their child has. The looks on their faces were, I didn't know that. I thank all of you for what you're doing. I appreciate these retreats and how we're doing them, because it's just not sharing statistical information. It's talking about what it is that we need. What are our challenges, but what are our solutions as well? We have a board here that outside of here, we continue to work hard independently, but definitely together. And when we're hearing what we're hearing, right, we react. When we react, we vote and provide. And that's why I go back to my original statement. I am so glad to be a member of this board during these times. I appreciate what we're doing and how we're doing it. And it's nothing like being able to say, these are good meetings. We accept the challenges from anyone who wants to bring their child here that may have issues, questions, concerns. I guarantee you, if we don't have the answer, we'll research it and find it. but we'll never leave you hanging. So bring on your challenges, bring on your concerns and your issues. Because if you look at these meetings, everything is put out there for you. It's on the internet, it's live and in vivid color, and no one's here. So that tells me that we're doing something right. Thank you. God
All right.
bless.
Thank you, sir. Soup, anything?
Just exciting news that we have provided, how we're going to support another demographic that's growing. I thank the trustees for being amenable to the recommendation and noticing and recognizing that we are supporting all students, and we, as they come to us with needs, we address them.
Yes.
And that needle is still moving in math and English language arts. May not be at the pace we want it, but we're moving in the right direction, and it is due to the decisions that are being made around this dais. So I thank you, and I won't be here for the next board meeting, but we will have great representation. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I do want to, we completed the branding guideline finally. And so that will we had a committee meeting today to discuss the branding guidelines, but then also for the new logo will be a competition. And so we're going to talk with the superintendent before she has to go on vacation, and about the competition and about possibly a student designing the brand new logo for the high school. I think that I'm super excited about that, and I'm super excited about this branding guideline. Thank you for Alicia White, who designed it, Heidi, that communications team. This is it. This is the holy grail of what it looks like, what we want our district to look like. So thank you so much, Mrs. White, for all the work that you put into it, and the board for your patience during this particular point in time. We had a board retreat. The board retreat lasted 3 days, and in that particular board retreat, there was some data that supports some of the some of the commonalities or themes that we've heard throughout the city. And so that's where we're going to put our dollars and our efforts and our marketing, to making sure that we can get everybody involved. And with that being said, for me specifically, I started this journey 20 plus years ago, and I stayed consistent here because the work wasn't done. To me, it was to have financial stability. I wanted safe schools. I wanted accountability, and I wanted educational success. And so the data has met the mark, of which I feel that job was finally done. Did I think it would take 20 years? No. But it did. And we're here, but we still got improvements, and we still have things that we need to do. I'm consistent in who I am, and I'll always be consistent in that. And this board is very worthy of the accolades that you receive individually across the state for the work that you do and the work that you share with other trustees and board members across the country. And so thank you so much. And I publicly thank you for allowing me to be the leader, because unless somebody is willing to follow, that's just a title. And so thank you for being consistent, and thank you for holding me to task. Thank you for having my back when it seems or appears that we're just out here on our own, and we're not. And we're going to get it done collectively. There are some partnerships that we have in store that we would still like to continue with the city, and I heard that mentioned. And it's not an individual thing, it's a us thing, and that's where the board has always stood, but we just refuse to do it in the old way of Pontiac.
Right.
We won't be negative, and we won't, as they say, the old people will say, we're going to take the high road, and we're going to work with anybody and everyone to make sure that our kids are exposed to every single thing. These are all of our children. These are all of our babies in this city. We hold that title, not just for the Pontiac School District, for those that are in charter schools and everywhere. And so we do that collectively by when we give our backpack giveaways, when we do sports and athletics in this particular district, we open our doors and we don't close them because those are our babies too.
That's right.
And so we're going to continue to do things in decency and order. I haven't poured out any potions or anything to give y'all any y'all drinks or water to make y'all follow me like Pied Piper yet. If I feel like I'm losing y'all, then I think I'll do that. I think I'll slip you something. But you have your own minds. But I thank you for holding me to task. And I thank you for the accountability. I asked you for it and you give it to me. And so we are who we are. We are Phoenix Nation. This is Pontiac. We will rise above and we'll continue to do what we said we're going to do when we took that oath for our babies. Right?
That's right.
And so with that being said, I need a motion on the floor to adjourn this meeting. So moved by Trustee Davis Smith, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Treasurer Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Bowman,
Yes.
Trustee Kraft,
Yes.
Trustee Davis Smith,
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
VP Gross.
Yes.
And I'm voting yes. Passes 7-0.
All right, thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 7:18. Have a good day.